Texans fans, we got a great show on tap for you today. There's a free agent who's visiting the Houston Texans. I'm going to break that down in today's show. But first, help me win the likes battle this week against our rivals, the Tennessee Titans. Show them who the best fans in the AFC South are by liking today's video. We're a little bit over 100 likes behind right now. Help me help you keep H-Town the realest ones. So go down and like today's video as the intro rolls. So on today's show, I'm looking at 3 defensive free agents the Texans should look to sign before training camp. And full transparency, I was making this video, and then the news came out. Ronald Darby visiting the Houston Texans. He was number 1 on my list, and hey, maybe I just know ball because Ronald Darby, the cornerback from the Denver Broncos last season, is working out for the Houston Texans today. Could the Texans add some more depth in the secondary? That's what was my thought process, and I think Nick Caserio was thinking the same thing because this came in for me and Rapoport as I was getting ready to film today's video. Veteran free agent cornerback Ronald Darby is working out for the Texans today. Source said Darby, who played for the Broncos the last 2 seasons, is recovering nicely from a torn ACL last season and would be a solid potential pre-camp addition. And I was thinking the same thing, like I said earlier. Ronald Darby visiting the Houston Texans today, coming off the ACL injury. He only played 5 games last season, but the seasons before, 6 PBUs in 11 games, 16 PBUs in 16 games, and then 11 PBUs in 11 games. He's a solid corner in this league. Maybe he's not CB1, but hey, if you're the Texans, you don't need CB1 because you're relying on Derek Stingley, the second-year corner, to step into that role. Desmond King, also going to be starting at the nickelback position. Could the Texans look to replace Steven Nelson as CB2 or maybe add some more depth along with Shaquille Griffin? We had the Texans rumors come out a couple weeks ago that Steven Nelson was beefing with GM Nick Caserio, posting the patented puffer sweater vest saying said something along the lines of couldn't be this guy or can't be taking any advice from somebody who wears this. Hey, I mean, could that be a precursor to the Texans adding some more cornerbacks, maybe getting Steven Nelson out of there? I know he wants a new contract. Nick Caserio not willing to give it to him. Could they just part ways and the Texans add a new cornerback in Ronald Darby? I think that could be the case. I think the Texans could add Ronald Darby going into training camp and look at the cornerback position and say, hey, who do we want to keep? Who are the 5-6 guys that we're going to roll with this season? But hey, if you were the guy wearing the puffer vest, calling the shots for the Houston Texans, would you sign cornerback Ronald Darby? Give me a Y for yes or an in for no in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, hey, that's perfect timing. Go down there and answer today's question. Second on my list was Yannick Ngakoue, somebody who surprisingly still not signed. I know he's kind of a one-trick pony, is really just a pass rusher only in this league. But hey, in a passing league, somebody who can rush the passer, if that's your one trait, if that's what your one ability, that's a good one to pick, Yannick. Because last year, 9.5 sacks, consistently getting sacks each season. That's what Yannick Ngakoue does. As we look at his last 4 seasons, 9.5, 10, 8. And, somebody who can get 8 or more sacks in a season is valuable to your franchise. As we look at the Texans' defensive line depth chart, Will Anderson coming in as a rookie, expected to produce, but, obviously he's got Jerry Hughes behind him, going to help mentor him a little bit. Jonathan Grenard, I have him slated in on the other side, but he's in a huge prove-it year. I want to see more out of Grenard. Could the Texans bring in another pass rusher to help these young guys out? Also, you have Dylan Horton, the other rookie, who's behind Grenard right now on my Texans depth chart. Could they add another mentor for Ngakoue and Grenard? I think that could be the case. Will Anderson, they took him with the 3rd overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. They expect a lot out of this guy, but at the same time, it's a different game. Going from college, going to the NFL, it's a totally different game. And having those veterans, having guys who are able to get 8 or more sacks a year, kind of show you the keys, show you the lay of the land in the NFL, that can only help this young pass rusher develop into a premier pass rusher for the Houston Texans. And I want you to be a premier viewer of the Houston Texans this whole season because we're bringing you wall-to-wall coverage of your Houston Texans all season long. Never miss a moment. Never be the guy at the water cooler being like, oh, wait, what? Ronald Darby's visiting Houston? I had no clue. Well, you had no clue because you're not subscribed to our Texans channel. So if you want free Texans coverage all year long, possibly some watch parties, maybe a live show sprinkled in here and there. If my bosses are listening, maybe I'll get some live shows. But hey, that can only happen if you subscribe to the channel. Show your support. H-Town, hold it down. I know you can do it. Let's go. Hit that sub button. And my last defensive free agent option for the Houston Texans, Kyle Van Noy. And I put linebacker under him as, his identifier, but really, this man's a Swiss Army knife. He can play off-ball linebacker. He can rush the passer. He can do a little bit of everything. Maybe drop into some zone coverage, cover the running back coming out of the backfield. He can really do it all, and he's been very consistent in the NFL for the past 4 seasons. Able to get sacks, able to get tackles for loss, 10 PBUs in 2021. He could definitely be a welcome addition to this Texans linebacking room that, they signed Denzel Perryman. He should be the starter. Christian Harris, a lot to prove this season. I currently have Henry To'o slided in as that third linebacker, but it could very well be Corey Littleton, Christian Kirksey. I know they're kind of fighting for roster spots as well, but who's the Texans head coach right now? DeMeco Ryans, a very smart linebacker in his time in the NFL. Kyle Van Noy, another very smart linebacker in his time in the NFL. Could that be kind of a segue for him to join the Texans? Could the Texans look to add to this young linebacking room that just has some veterans sprinkled in? Do they trust Corey Littleton? And do they trust Christian Kirksey? I know he's been decent for the Texans the past couple of years, but there's been rumors that he's on the roster bubble. Could the Texans look to add another linebacker for this room? If they do, I would go the way of Kyle Van Noy. Now, obviously, we've been talking about the Texans adding to the defense. I think their defense is going to be pretty solid this year. Didn't get a lot of respect last year. Wasn't one of the best, top half of the league last year. But where would you rank the Texans defense going into this year among other NFL defenses? Rank it 1 to 32. If it's 1, you're saying they're the best defense in the entire NFL. 32, they are dog water. They are the worst defense in the NFL. I am somewhere slated around that 16, 17, 18. I think they can prove some people wrong. I really love Will Anderson and what he provides to the Texans pass rush, especially DeMeco Ryans as well, being able to implement his system. He was amazing with the 49ers as their defensive coordinator. Had one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. Can he bring that defense to H-Town and bring some respect back to the H? I think so. And if you haven't already, follow the Houston native right here, Jeremy Chuggs at Twitter. Go to at Jeremy Chuggs. I'm also on Threads. I'm pushing that. I don't know if Threads will be around in a week or so, but hey, if you're on Threads, follow me. It's also at Jeremy Chuggs. And like I said at the top of the video, we're trying to win a likes battle against those dang Tennessee Titans. Do not let the Titans beat us. We know who the better Oilers were. They left town and became the Tennessee Titans, and we got the Texans because, hey, Houston Texans football is the best football in the AFC South. Prove it by going down and hitting that like button.